So it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm at the corporate headquarters. To my left and to my right, I have lines of cubicles of my coworkers that are just typing feverishly as if they are getting paid by every single word that they type. For me, I'm on my way back from the cafeteria for the third time already this morning because I finished all of my work about an hour earlier for the entire day. And I end up coming back to my desk, and I'm just bored. I'm waiting for the clock to tick and waiting for 3 o'clock to come, just as if I'm just this little guy up here who just waits for his dog, for his owner to come home at the end of the day. Like he's just begging for him, like, please, just come home, just play. And when I was sitting there at my desk, I actually realized I'm not the only person that feels this way. In fact, 85% of people dislike their jobs. So that's 85%. For the people that are here, that's like if you had this entire place, completely filled, this many people absolutely did not like their job, and the small percentage of 15% over here either love their job or it's just like it's something new, so they do like it. And for those other 15%, the 85%, we're all jealous of you. It took me about 6 months to get the courage for me to leave the corporate world, to leave this bubble of safety where I had a great salary, I had great benefits, and I knew that I had a job the next day that I showed up. I then decided, let's start with the startup world. And I left that bubble, and I went to a place that was very uncertain. It was great. It was invigorating. It was something new. I was the first employee. We grew to 13 employees in 3 years. We had amazing customers, an amazing product, and amazing services. But then I started to feel just like our friend again, bored. And that's when I started to realize that this entire thing is actually a cycle. That first you go ahead and you start something new. Then you get the honeymoon period that kicks in, and you're like, this is just great, I love this new job, it's amazing. And then reality kicks in. You start to see the flaws. You start to see that this becomes just the same thing on a different day. And then you become stuck, just like our friend. And when you become stuck, this is a normal cycle. This is not only for people that are looking for, like I say, a new job. This can be used for anything, this cycle. If you say, I have this goal that I want to go to the gym, I want to lose 25 pounds. You go ahead and you get that gym membership, you start something new, it's amazing, you're in this honeymoon period where you're like, yeah, I'm going to go 5 days a week, and then reality kicks in, and it's just the same thing, and you're like, oh, now I have this thing that pops up on Wednesday, I can only go 2 days a week now, and then 1 day a week, and then you're stuck with that membership that you just paid for the entire year, and now it's just going to waste. But the fact is that this is this cycle that can work for anything. But when you are in this stuck period for a long period of time, that is when fear starts to kick in. And I want you to understand that this fear is also normal. When you're doing something day after day and it's just not fulfilling, that fear starts to kick in. And when you have this fear, you have to understand that this is the time where you are going to be asking yourself all these what ifs. What if this isn't the right job for me? What if I can't, try something new? What if I fail? It's scary. And that's where the 85% of us are right now. We can be scared. But when you get that fear eventually gets at you enough to be a motivation for you to get the courage to be able to move on. And when you get that courage, it's a great moment in time because it's going to help you through a lot of roadblocks. However, if you take a step back, you can't get to the courage to be able to try something new until you have had fear first. If I came to you today and said, I had the courage today to stand on this stage and talk to you, it wouldn't necessarily make sense. Actually, it would make no sense if I was to step back and say, if I didn't come back earlier and say, I had the fear of public speaking. So if you have that fear from something, that courage comes afterwards, and that courage is used to be able to help propel you forward. And that courage is what helps you through the many roadblocks that's going to stop and prevent you from being able to achieve what you want. Roadblocks come in many different forms. They can come in money problems. You can have health problems. You can have, relationship problems. And these are all roadblocks that sometimes seem to keep us in that stuck period. They keep you in that 85%, when all you really want to do is just move forward or be happy, be fulfilled. And one of the most important things for the roadblocks to understand is some of these roadblocks are very difficult, and a lot of them are actually your closest friends and family. For me, I was in the corporate world. I had a lot of student debt, and I was making a lot of money. My parents were happy. I had a stable job. And then I went and I moved to the startup world where you have no certainty whatsoever. You don't have a salary. You definitely don't have benefits. And sometimes you don't know if you're going to have a job in the next week. So my parents were obviously a little not so thrilled when I said I was going to be leaving the corporate world. It's not that they weren't supportive of me. They saw that the opportunity ahead of me was a great opportunity, but it wasn't certain. So it was scary. So you have these people that are closest to you that sometimes will sort of push back at you a little bit. And that can help keep you in that stuck period. But what you have to understand is all of these roadblocks, whether they're your closest family or friends, or they are, these other naysayers, or it's money or healthcare or, anything, that they're not really roadblocks. They're just speed bumps. Now, I could talk to you all day about, getting stuck and where we all are, because the numbers say that's 85% of us, and a majority of the time when you talk to people, they say, how do your job? And they're like, it's the same thing every single day. But what I want to talk to you about is actually how to get out of that stuck period and move in, and how you can help find the next big thing for you. So when you want to take this step, when you do recognize that you are stuck, the first thing you have to do is obviously figure out what that overall goal is that you want to achieve for yourself. And that can be anything. It could be, I want to lose 15 pounds at the gym. I want to read more books. I want to, pay off my student loans, whatever it may be. Your goal can be anything that you want to move forward to. But the other thing to understand is you do not want to have a goal that is just way too broad. The most common goal for a lot of people is, I want to make more money. Everyone knows they want to make more money. But what is that? Is it $5? Is it $10? Is it $100? Is it $1 million? What is more money? You just don't know. It's not a defined goal. It's not something that you can just, look at it from day by day to see the progress that you've made. So one of the tools that I like to do first, after figuring out what that goal is a tool that I sort of came up with that's called the 20 Easy Goals. Can't get more simple of a title than that. And with those 20, what you want to do is write down 20 goals that you're able to complete in the next 30 days. Once you have that list, this list the goals can be super small, such as I'm going to wake up 15 minutes earlier every single day and read a chapter of a book. Or I want to call a friend that I haven't talked to in a long time. I want to, once a week, I want to call someone new. Or I want to save an extra $25 a week so at the end of the month I have a little bit of extra money to go and do something fun. Once you've written those 20 goals, then go back and circle every single goal that you are capable of being able to complete in the next 7 days. That could be everything on your list if you made a really simple list. That could be half your list. It could be 2 things on your list, 1 thing on your list. But once you've circled everything that you're capable of achieving the next 7 days, put down the pencil or the pen, whatever you use, and start right then and there trying to knock off those things that you just circled. Now, this just isn't an exercise for you to be able to, just accomplish something. But what this is doing is it's giving yourself a new mindset that you are capable of doing something out of your day-to-day routine. If every single day you wake up in the morning, have breakfast, go to work, you come home from work, have dinner, binge watch some Netflix, and then go to bed and then repeat every single day, that's why you're stuck. It's because you're doing the same thing. But if you can go ahead and say, I'm going to wake up a half an hour earlier just so I can try to knock off some of these things in your list, you are putting yourself into a mindset that you are capable of achieving something that's outside of your day-to-day regimen. You're putting yourself into a mindset that now you can get unstuck and you can move forward to achieving whatever that next big thing is for you. So once you have this down, now you can open up and broaden your horizons of what your actual goal might be. And once you've defined that goal, the next step is sort of to move forward, but there's one other roadblock that I didn't bring up earlier, and it's the biggest roadblock of all. It's yourself. You can make excuses all day long of why you might not be able to achieve something, but what you have to do is you have to give yourself permission to be able to move forward and to accomplish whatever it is that you want to actually achieve, because you are the only person that can do that. There is no other, there's no adult that is, above you, like a teacher, that has to give you permission, to go to the bathroom when you're in elementary school. There's no one else there. There's no boss. I learned about permission actually from my therapist. I go to see a therapist, once or twice a month as needed, and I go and we sit and we chit chat. We show up at 8 o'clock. We sit on a nice comfy couch, have my coffee, and we're just chatting. And that's all I think that we're doing. But really, she's doing some like voodoo magic on me to be like, okay, we're gonna figure you out here. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And one of the things that I struggled with was I get angry. Let me see if I can sort of get this again. I get angry when I get angry at someone else or something else, but I get angry at myself. Probably didn't follow that. I barely followed it as well. But I get angry at myself just for getting angry. And what my therapist told me is that I need to give myself permission to be able to feel that way. And I immediately was like, yeah, okay, whatever, that makes sense, whatever. So we kept on having my coffee, and then 20 minutes later, I leave my session, and I'm driving the car. I get to a four-way stop, and a guy just blows through the stop sign in front of me, and I immediately start getting that road rage as if I'm in downtown Boston, and I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. But then I sort of stepped back, and I was like, wait a minute. It's okay for me to feel this way. I have to give myself permission to be okay with feeling angry. And it just hit me. I felt a huge weight off my shoulders. That I was now able to, have this, idea of permission that I can now use in any part of my life now. So I then went home and I figured out whatever my next goal was. And for me, it was, I just don't want to be angry. But I wrote myself my first permission slip. And that permission slip was something I could just keep with me to say, this is what I want to achieve. And that's how I opened the door. Now you can go and you can write your own permission slip. You can write one permission slip, you can write 1,000 permission slips. You can write one permission slip and then break it down into a nice Christmas tree full of steps on how you can achieve that goal that are also permission slips themselves. It's important that for you to understand that by writing this down, you're sort of making a commitment to yourself, that this is what you want to achieve. This is the goal that you have in mind, which is going to help you get unstuck, and this is the next big thing for you. Now, this is even though this is a really important paper for you, paper, stuff that's been written on paper is also very important as well. A lot of things have been written on paper, such as the Constitution. Harry Potter, the idea for Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling wrote it on a cocktail napkin. I'm sort of wondering what she was drinking when she came up with that idea. And then, the Pixar characters. A lot of the Pixar characters also came from a lunch meeting in a diner where they actually drew out the characters. Nemo, Dory, the Bug's Life, all these great Pixar films. They just came from these doodles on pieces of paper. The difference is, and the reason why these were so successful is because the creators of that and the stuff that wrote this stuff on the piece of paper, they acted on it. They took action. Not only did they just write it down on a piece of paper, but they also took the next steps in order for them to achieve that goal. And I see this far too often. I work in the startup world right now, and I hear a lot of pitches. There's a ton of people that will go ahead and they pitch these ideas. They're first-time entrepreneurs. They're energetic. They're like, yeah, I'm going to change the world. And then they have these venture capitalists that are in front of them, and they're like, that's a brilliant idea. That's great. I think that you should pursue it. It's a great idea. You can change lives with this technology or whatever it may be. And then, we go a couple months down the road, and 90 to 99% of them just don't go anywhere. And that's because they just didn't act. They had this great idea, but they didn't take action. So now that you have your well-defined goal, now that you've broken that goal down to manageable steps, you've realized that you now have the permission to give yourself the next steps to reaching your next big thing, the next steps for being unstuck. Now that you understand that these roadblocks that are going to be pushing you down are really just speed bumps, now that you've written your permission slip and you have given yourself permission to be able to achieve something that's outside of your day-to-day routine, you now have to understand that you are the one with the pen this time. You are the one that can put whatever is you want on that permission slip. And that permission slip is the doorway for whatever the next big thing is for you. And that permission slip is your key to what's next in your uncertain future. Thank you.